Imagine a time when the Roman Empire was crumbling and Europe was teetering on the edge of chaos. Amidst this turmoil, a group of Germanic tribes called the Franks began to rise, reshaping the political map and forging what would become the foundation of modern European states like France and Germany. From their fierce battles to their game-changing alliances, the Franks' journey was nothing short of epic. But how did a loose collection of tribes evolve into one of the most powerful forces that shaped Europe as we know it today? The Franks originated as a collection of Germanic tribes living along the lower and middle Rhine rivers. Their name, Franks, is thought to come from the Proto-Germanic word fra, which means free. It's a fitting name because from the very beginning, the Franks were a fiercely independent people, unwilling to be dominated by others. These tribes lived on the fringes of the Roman Empire, watching as it weakened over the centuries, and like many others, they saw an opportunity. As the Roman Empire began to lose control over its territories in the west, the Franks, along with other Germanic tribes, started to move into Roman lands. Initially, their migration was gradual, more about finding better opportunities than outright conquest. But as Roman defenses faltered, the Franks became more aggressive, carving out new territories for themselves. They weren't just aimless wanderers, though. They were organized, and over time, they began to form more structured alliances. Clovis I is where the story of the Franks really takes off. Born in the Merovingian dynasty, Clovis was young, ambitious, and saw an opportunity with the weakening Roman hold on Gaul. In 486, he made his move against Syagrius, the last Roman ruler in the region. This wasn't just any battle, though. It was a defining moment that marked the end of Roman rule in Gaul. When Clovis defeated Syagrius in the Battle of Soissons, it wasn't just a military victory, it was the beginning of a new era where the Franks would dominate the political landscape of what later would become France. With this win, Clovis took control of a key part of Roman territory, and the Franks officially began their transformation from a loose confederation of tribes into a true kingdom. But military victories alone didn't make Clovis a legendary figure. His conversion to Christianity in 496 was a turning point not only for him, but the entire Frankish people. Before this, many Germanic tribes, including the Franks, followed pagan beliefs or Arian Christianity, which was considered heretical by the Roman Catholic Church. Clovis, however, chose to convert to Catholicism, a decision that aligned him with the powerful Roman Catholic Church. This move was brilliant because it wasn't just about faith, it was about power. Clovis' death in 511 didn't bring peace and stability to the Frankish kingdom. In fact, it triggered a period of fragmentation and internal conflict. According to the Frankish tradition of partible inheritance, a kingdom was divided among a king's sons after his death. Clovis had 4 sons, and each of them inherited a portion of his vast realm. This practice, while honoring the family, caused constant internal strife. The Frankish kingdom was split into several smaller kingdoms, each ruled by one of Clovis' sons. And instead of working together, they often fought against each other for dominance. As time went on, the Merovingian kings became more symbolic than powerful. Known as the lazy kings or rois fainéants, many of Clovis' descendants were uninterested in governing and preferred to indulge in luxuries rather than manage the affairs of the state. With the kings distracted, real power began to shift to a new figure, the mayors of the palace. Now, these were originally royal officials responsible for managing the king's household, but over time, they gained more control over military and political matters. By the 7th century, the mayors of the palace were effectively running the kingdom, while the kings became mere figureheads. Charles Martel was a game-changer in Frankish history. Officially, he wasn't a king, but held the title of Mayor of the Palace, which is a position that had grown more powerful than the Merovingian kings themselves. When Charles Martel rose to prominence, the Merovingian kings were more or less just figureheads, and he became effectively the first real ruler of the Frankish realms. His most famous moment came in 732 at the Battle of Tours. This was a critical moment in European history because Muslim forces, having already conquered much of Spain, were pushing northward into Frankish territory. Charles Martel faced them head-on near the city of Tours and, against all odds, emerged victorious. Charles Martel's legacy was carried on by his son, Pippin the Short. Unlike his father, Pippin wasn't satisfied with ruling from behind the scenes. In 751, he decided it was time to make his power official, and with the Pope's blessing, Pippin overthrew the last Merovingian king. Childeric III, and took the crown for himself, establishing the Carolingian dynasty. But this wasn't just a political move, it was also a very deeply symbolic one. By aligning himself with the Pope, Pepin secured the backing of the Roman Catholic Church, which gave his reign both legitimacy and spiritual authority. It marked the beginning of a new chapter for the Franks, one that was closely intertwined with the Church. If Pepin set the stage, his son Charlemagne took the Carolingian dynasty to its zenith. Charlemagne, whose name means Charles the Great, wasn't just a ruler, he was an empire builder. From the moment that he took the throne in 768, Charlemagne embarked on a series of military campaigns that would expand the Frankish kingdom to a massive empire covering much of Western and Central Europe. He conquered the Lombards of Italy, subdued the Saxons in modern-day Germany, and even ventured into Spain to fight the Moors. Charlemagne's empire was the largest in Europe since the fall of the Roman Empire, and it marked the beginning of what would later be known as the Holy Roman Empire. But Charlemagne's reign wasn't just about military conquest. In 800, something extraordinary happened. On Christmas Day, while attending Mass in Rome, Charlemagne was crowned Emperor of the Romans by Pope Leo III. This event was monumental because it symbolized the fusion of three important traditions: Germanic rulership, Roman imperial authority, and Christian faith. Charlemagne's coronation wasn't just the birth of a new empire, it was the creation of a new European identity, one that would last for centuries. By being crowned emperor, Charlemagne positioned himself as the rightful heir to the Roman Empire, but with a distinctly Christian twist. After Charlemagne's death in 814, the Grand Empire that he built didn't hold together as many would have hoped. His grandsons, lacking the unity and vision of their grandfather, found themselves entangled in power struggles and internal conflicts. By the mid-9th century, the Frankish Empire was on the verge of splintering, and in 843, this division became official with the Treaty of Verdun, one of the most significant agreements in European history. The empire was divided into three distinct parts, each controlled by one of Charlemagne's grandsons. Charles the Bald took the western portion, which would later evolve into France. Louis the German received the eastern lands, which would be the basis for what we know now as Germany. The Treaty of Verdun wasn't just a political reshuffling, though. It had profound consequences for the future of Europe. With the empire now divided, these regions began to develop their own distinct identities, cultures, and languages. But more immediately, the division of power made these new kingdoms susceptible to internal strife and external invasions. This fragmentation of power helped to accelerate the rise of feudalism. Without a strong central authority, local lords and nobles began to amass more power, offering protection and governance in exchange for loyalty and military service. Even though the Frankish Empire eventually disintegrated, the legacy of the Franks endured. Their role in shaping the political, cultural, and religious landscapes of medieval Europe is impossible to ignore. The Franks were instrumental in establishing the foundation of European governance. Their system of kingship, with their close relationship between the monarchy and the church, became a model for other European kingdoms. The military innovations introduced by the Franks, such as the use of heavy cavalry, had a lasting impact on European warfare. Charles Martel's development of a cavalry-based army helped shape the tactics of medieval armies, and the image of the mounted knight, heavily armored and wielding great power, became iconic in the centuries that followed. This military tradition, born out of the Frankish kingdom, would define European battlefields well into the medieval period. So, what are your thoughts on this? Be sure to let us know in the comments below.